Think about the last time you opened a social media app. Within seconds, you were likely met with a cascade of faces, smiling selfies at the beach, carefully angled headshots, group photos from weekend dinners, and updates from people you haven't seen in person since high school. It feels like everyone is perpetually on display, broadcasting their physical existence to the world. But if you scroll long enough, you'll inevitably run into the exceptions. There is the friend whose profile picture is a landscape they took 5 years ago, the colleague with a default gray silhouette, or the cousin whose account exists purely to view content, never to post. When we encounter these digitally invisible profiles, our brains tend to jump to quick conclusions. We might assume they are insecure, highly antisocial, or perhaps that they have something to hide. In a culture that often treats online visibility as a measure of a person's success and confidence, choosing to keep your face off the screen can seem almost countercultural. Yet the psychological reality behind this choice is far more nuanced and varied than simple shyness or insecurity. To understand why some people choose not to post their photos, we have to look at how we experience our own visibility. Psychologists often talk about a phenomenon called the spotlight effect. This is our natural tendency to overestimate how much other people are noticing our appearance, behaviors, and mistakes. For many of us, stepping onto the digital stage of social media feels like walking under a literal spotlight. Every blemish, every awkward smile, and even the background of a photo feels open to scrutiny. For individuals who are highly sensitive to this spotlight, the mental effort required to curate, edit, and worry about a posted photo simply isn't worth the return. By choosing not to post, they are essentially turning off that heavy spotlight, allowing themselves to exist without the pressure of an audience. This relates closely to how we construct our identity. The psychologist Carl Rogers introduced the concept of the ideal self versus the real self. The ideal self is who we wish we were, while the real self is who we actually are in our day-to-day, unedited lives. Social media platforms are practically designed to exploit this gap. They encourage us to present a highly polished, optimized version of ourselves. But for some people, the process of translating their multidimensional, messy human existence into a static, two-dimensional image feels deeply unnatural or even exhausting. They might look at a selfie and feel a sense of disconnection, as if the image on the screen is a character they are being asked to play, rather than who they truly are. For these individuals, refusing to post photos is a way to protect the authenticity of their real self. They prefer to be known through direct interaction, conversation, and shared experiences, rather than through a curated digital portfolio. There is also a fascinating difference in how we seek validation. Human beings are social creatures, and our brains are wired to seek approval from our peers. When we post a photo and see the notifications roll in, our brain releases a small burst of dopamine, the chemical associated with reward and pleasure. It is an easy, immediate form of external validation. However, not everyone relies on this digital feedback loop. Many people who keep their photos off social media lean more toward intrinsic validation. They find satisfaction in their experiences without needing a public record of them. If they go to a beautiful concert or wear an outfit they love, the internal feeling of enjoyment is complete on its own. They do not need the digital receipt of a photo to prove the moment happened or that it was valuable. We can also look at this choice through the lens of privacy and personal boundaries. Imagine walking into a public square where everyone is carrying a large frame showcasing their face, inviting passersby to give a thumbs up or keep walking. For some, this concept feels like a strange compromise of personal space. In our current digital age, our data and our likenesses are constantly being tracked, analyzed, and commodified. Refusing to post photos can be a quiet, practical boundary-setting exercise. It is a way of saying that while they are willing to participate in the digital world to stay informed or connected, their physical identity is a private asset, reserved only for those they interact with in the physical world. Of course, it is important to look at this with empathy and acknowledge that for some, the decision is rooted in deeper struggles, social anxiety, body dysmorphia, or past experiences
experiences with online harassment can make the act of posting a photo feel genuinely unsafe. In these cases, staying behind the camera is a highly functional way to navigate a hyper-visual world while keeping one's mental peace intact. This choice should not be viewed as a deficit or a failure to participate, but rather as a sensible self-preservation strategy. At its core, the psychology of those who don't post their photos reminds us that there is no single right way to navigate our modern landscape. In a society that often equates sharing with caring and visibility with worth, choosing to remain unseen on screen is a reminder of our autonomy. It shows us that we can choose how much of ourselves we want to share with the world, and that our value is not determined by how many people can see us. If you are someone who prefers to stay behind the camera, or if you've ever felt pressured to share more of yourself than you're comfortable with, it can be liberating to realize that your quiet presence is entirely valid. And if you are someone who loves to share and connect through photos, understanding this perspective can help us look at the quiet profiles in our feeds with a bit more appreciation. Where do you find yourself on this spectrum? Do you enjoy sharing your journey visually, or do you find a sense of peace in keeping your life offline? If this perspective resonated with you, feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below, or simply take a moment to reflect on how you choose to show up in the world, both online and off.